it's Lauren Kennedy and welcome back to my channel. I am in a new location filming for Mentorship Mondays and I think I'm going to like this. I feel like this gives a very intimate setting. It's on my couch, it's in my living room. It feels very cozy for me, and this is the scarf that I had on today, guys. It's super cozy. I have a cup of tea, and if you are watching this video, feel free to grab a cup of tea because we're talking about imposter syndrome today, y'all, and how to navigate imposter syndrome in grad school. Before we get into the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and let's get right into the video. So first, what is imposter syndrome? I normally go to the internet and get the exact definition because I know some people like to fact check and I do not like being wrong. So I'm going to give y'all the exact definition. Imposter syndrome is a psychological pattern where individuals doubt their accomplishments and have persistent fear of being exposed as a fraud despite evidence of competence and success. So I just want to acknowledge that imposter syndrome is very common in grad school and it's common among high achievers. I feel like imposter syndrome didn't hit me until I got into college and I was the only black woman in some of my classes. And because of how I dressed and presented myself, sometimes I kind of felt like I didn't belong there, or because I looked differently than other people, they kind of didn't take me seriously. Like, based on how I dressed and how I presented myself, I felt like, oh, they just think that I'm dumb. That is so crazy to think about, but it's a real thing. Because I show up as my authentic self in these spaces, sometimes it makes me feel like I'm less than because I wouldn't say I don't look as tamed, but I wear colorful things. I show up as myself. I wear colorful glasses. I wear my hair in this big puff. And sometimes I felt like I wasn't taken seriously, even despite my accomplishments. Like, a lot of times I felt like I was given awards because I was a black woman, I was underrepresented, and it made me feel like a lot of my accomplishments I didn't earn because of what I was doing. I was earning them because I came from an underrepresented background. It's something that I struggle with, and I think it followed me going into grad school, like showing up as my authentic self, and some people looking a certain way or coming from a specific background or a specific institution. It kind of made me go into a shell, and it's still something I'm navigating from, but I just kind of wanted to have a sit-down discussion about how to navigate that and how to kind of overcome those barriers. And also, the main goal of my channel is to kind of be transparent about the struggles, not to kind of fake it till I make it about like everything that I've been going through, but just kind of be transparent about like, hey, this is a real thing. And people in grad school, a lot of people, we see them put on this facade, like they have everything in order, and people often like to hide their struggles. And that's not what I want to do. I don't want to come on here and say that I'm struggling every day, but I do want to be transparent about some of the things and the thoughts that go through my mind. And if somebody's going through something similar, I just want to be that space, that safe space, to kind of show people that they aren't alone when going through these things. But also, it's okay to talk about these things, and because they are normal. I also feel like the different power dynamics in academia, like, add to the imposter syndrome, especially being in labs, because I feel like the power dynamic, you have postdocs, you have your PI, you have graduate students that have been there a lot longer than you, and then coming into a lab and coming into grad school, you're like, oh my gosh, these people know everything and I don't know nothing yet. And it's unsubconsciously, I just think, oh my gosh, this person knows all this knowledge. At first, it kind of scared me to even open up. Luckily, I'm in a great, healthy lab. They allow for me to make mistakes. They allow for me to be my authentic self, meaning that if I don't know something, I feel comfortable saying, I'm not sure, and walking through that with them. And I think it's all lab dependent, but also I just thought coming into UNC and going to this huge school that people would think that I don't belong here, that I was somehow a fraud, and something that I'm still working through and breaking out of. But like, just emphasizing the lab environment that you're in plays a huge role in how you can navigate that and open up and overcome that as well. But if you are not in an umbrella program like I am, and you don't have the opportunity to necessarily pick and choose what lab, I think it's important to seek mentors or people that are going through the same things as you on campus to kind of find that community. I feel like you aren't alone, because it's important to validate those feelings. But first, recognize the signs of imposter syndrome, whether it's perfectionism, fear of failure, comparisons to someone else, or overworking. I wanted to start out by saying, in the beginning, especially my rotations, I definitely felt as though I was comparing my journey to everyone else, always seeking perfectionism and also overworking myself. And it was because like I had this thought in the back of my mind, like, oh, they're gonna find out that I don't know this or I don't know this. And it wasn't until I got into a safe space where I kind of broke out of those habits, because it's really easy to slip into that. And I was realizing like this was an ongoing cycle that I was having, feeling like I had to be perfect, feeling like I had to know everything, and that's just not realistic. So then I started to reframe my mindset, and instead of thinking of it as you either know it or you don't, I started thinking of it as a growth mindset. More so thinking of it as progress over perfection. Grad school isn't about being good enough or not. It's giving yourself credit for those small achievements. For example, like celebrating small wins. Me and my friends, we constantly hang out. Even if it's not my friends, it's my lab, and I love my lab for this. We celebrate every achievement, it's big or small, but especially the community that I have outside of grad school. Like me and my friends will like go get dinner to celebrate like finishing an application. We'll like hang out. We'll just do a lot of self-care things to kind of like celebrate these small accomplishments, because it's so easy to think like, oh, okay, I did this, now on to the next thing. Like, no, stop, acknowledge that you did this. And even the smallest achievements are steps towards that progress. It's important to do that through grad school, because sometimes you aren't going to have like these huge achievements or huge milestones like every year. Like sometimes I felt like in undergrad there were these huge milestones, whether it's moving on to the next year, and sometimes in grad school you just kind of just glide into the next year. So it's really easy to overlook those small things as you're progressing through. Next thing is to focus on learning and not performance. Setbacks are natural and they're a part of growth. Whether it's a failed experiment or you didn't get a grant or a fellowship, like you learned how to write a fellowship, you learned how to write a grant, you learned how to do that experiment better. So just kind of like reframing your mind to think like, okay, like this didn't work out, but I know the next thing will, or I learned from this experience. What can I take from that experience to go into the next one with a more positive outlook? I feel like having a good mindset and reframing things that way can help with imposter syndrome as well. The next thing is practicing self-compassion. And guys, this is something that I still struggle with on a daily. I am learning to be my own friend and to give myself the same grace that I give everyone else, or I would give everyone else, because in reality we're our biggest critics, and I am definitely my biggest critic. I feel like I'm Superwoman. I feel like I need to be perfect at everything, and sometimes we fall short, and that's okay. Like, and I'm really starting to acknowledge that and understand that I can't do everything. I try my best. I try to show up in the best way that I can. I'm still learning and I'm growing as a human being. Being compassionate in myself and giving myself grace and acknowledge that the fact that I'm trying is all that you can ask for. The last thing is to seek professional help. Y'all, I'm an advocate for therapy. I have been in therapy for about 4 years now, 3 to 4 years now. And it has helped me immensely become the woman that I am today. It's helped shift my mindset. It helped shift my perspective. And I'm still growing and I'm still learning. But being able to have that place where having a safe space to work through these problems and to talk through them is very essential. And for them to give you the tools to kind of navigate that space is very important. I will always be an advocate for therapy. And if you are looking to start therapy, or if you have any questions about what you should look for in a therapist, feel free to reach out to me. I'll try to give as much advice as I possibly can. I will always push for professional help. I just wanted to close this video out by saying, look at the long-term perspective of the ups and downs. And imposter syndrome can be diminished with persistence and mindset. I hope that this video was helpful for you guys if you're looking to go into grad school or if you're navigating grad school. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I love you guys. Thank you all for tuning in, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.